The sky of Vargos was a sickly shade of red, reflecting the chaos that had consumed the planet. Sue ducked behind a crumbling wall, her heart pounding against her ribcage, ears ringing with the echoes of distant gunfire. The metallic clang of alien boots reverberated through the ruins, growing ever louder. "Catch her, she won't escape this time," a voice snarled, breathing down her neck. In an instant, she sprang from her hiding place. With agility honed by years of training, she propelled herself into the fray, her blade glinting ominously. She maneuvered through the narrow streets, the remnants of a once thriving metropolis around her. The sound of alien laughter filled her with rage. Those were the voices of her family's murderers. "Enough games, Sue," a familiar voice called out. Maldek, an Enyoth enforcer, stepped into her path, his vibrant skin shimmering like oil against the backdrop of destruction. He relished the confrontation, an evil smile playing on his lips. "You're just prolonging your suffering." "Get out of my way," she spat, the anguish in her voice piercing through the smoke and noise. Sue charged at him, her blade a flash of silver in the chaos. The clash of metal rang through the air as she engaged him, a whirlwind of fury. Each swing of her blade was imbued with the memories of her lost loved ones, the echoes of her mother's laughter, the warmth of her father's embrace. She fought not just for survival, but for vengeance. "Fighting for their memory won't save you," Maldek hissed, parrying her blow with surprising skill. "They are gone. You're just another human ready for the slaughter." With a swift twist, she dodged his advance and landed a kick to his midsection, sending him staggering back. "You think this is just about revenge? This is about reclaiming our future and fighting back against your bloodline's tyranny." The fierce energy of battle enveloped her, igniting a fire deep within. Sue was not merely a soldier fighting back. She was a storm gathering strength, intent on cleansing the bloodlines of those who had wronged her. The remnants of the battle faded as Sue collapsed behind a cluster of rubble, panting for breath. Her escape had brought her to an isolated alley where an eerie silence enveloped her. Shadows danced in the flickering light overhead, and she instinctively reached for her weapon. "Do not fear, warrior," a frail, trembling voice called out from the shadows. "I mean you no harm." Sue turned, her grip tightening around her blade as she eyed the speaker. An alien sat against the cold stone, his green skin marred with battle scars and his body weak. "Who are you?" "I am Kalon, a scientist of the Enyoth," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "I have information you seek." "Information? How could you possibly know what I want?" She narrowed her eyes. Trust was a luxury she could not afford. Kalon's gaze softened with years of regret. "I know of their atrocities, their experiments on your kind, the manipulation of bloodlines. But there is something in humans that they fear." "What are you talking about?" He pulled himself slowly to his feet, struggling against his injuries. "The human gene. You possess a unique genetic code that, when combined with other human bloodlines, can give rise to a powerful new lineage, one cleansed of the Enyoth influence. If you mate only with humans, you can create a race strong enough to overthrow the Enyoth." Sue's heart raced with the implications. "But that's unthinkable. Why should I trust you? You're still one of them." "I seek redemption," Kalon said hoarsely. "For years, I watched my people commit unspeakable atrocities against yours. This is my chance to right the wrongs. You must cleanse the bloodlines of both our peoples to secure the future of humanity." The weight of his words hit her hard. Kalon fell to the ground, a gasp escaping his lips as the life drained from him. "Please, do not waste this opportunity." His final breath echoed in the silence, igniting a fury in Sue that sent shivers down her spine. "I will cleanse our bloodlines," she whispered fiercely, her resolve solidifying. The fire of revenge combined now with a profound mission. She would reclaim her people's dignity. With her newfound purpose, Sue set out to gather those willing to stand at her side. The underground resistance in Vargos was small, but its heart burned bright with defiance. She sought Jax first, a rogue pilot known for his unpredictability and unmatched skill. In the dim lights of the cantina, filled with laughter and the scent of cheap liquor, an uproar broke out. Jax was locked in a fierce confrontation with a group of alien thugs. "Let him go," she shouted, stepping forward, Or what? One of the thugs laughed, brandishing a weapon. Jax, despite the odds stacked against him, fought with unyielding determination. His eyes met hers, a flicker of acknowledgement igniting something deep within her. Or you'll regret it, Sue replied, her voice steady. In an instant, she lunged into the fray. With her years of training and relentless spirit, she dispatched the thugs with fluid motions. Jax, momentarily taken aback, soon joined her side, fighting back to back. When the last thug fell, silence settled in the cantina, punctuated only by ragged breaths. "What brings you here, Sue?" Jax asked, wiping the sweat from his brow. "I didn't think I'd see you again." "Join me," she replied quickly, determination in her voice. "We need to unite against the Enyoth. I have a plan to cleanse our bloodlines by mating with only humans." "And you think I'm just going to follow you into this madness?" he challenged. But his smirk hinted at a willingness to fight. "With your skills and my vision, we can make it happen. Humans deserve a chance to rise," she implored. Jax scrutinized her, and then in a flash, he grinned. "Count me in." Next, they sought Dr. Malus, a brilliant but eccentric scientist who had once served the Enyoth. The lab was filled with bizarre contraptions and experimental remnants of artificial creations. Malus, a disheveled figure with wild hair and mismatched clothing, fixed them with a curious gaze. "What do you want, humans? I'm quite busy with my experiments." Sue stepped forward, the urgency in her voice hardening. "We need your help, Dr. Malus. There's an opportunity to end the Enyoth oppression. We can reclaim humanity and cleanse our bloodlines." He leaned back, skepticism etched on his face. "And why should I help you?" "Because this is your chance to redeem yourself, to assist us in creating a strong new lineage, one that can resist the Enyoth's control," she argued passionately. He considered her words, the spark of urgency igniting something in his eyes. "Very well, I'm intrigued, but I'll need resources and time." "Whatever it takes," Jax interrupted. As they pooled their resources, Vrax emerged, a soldier from the Enyoth with deep scars etched into his skin, remnants from battles fought and lost. Initially met with hostility, he stepped forward, a mixture of shame and anger on his face. "I have abandoned my faction. Their tyranny sickens me," Vrax declared. "I wish to fight alongside you, if you'll accept me." Sue studied him with caution but saw a flicker of the same anger that brewed in her own heart. "Do you wish to atone?" "I wish to see the fall of the Enyoth," he responded fiercely, "and to protect those who have suffered at their hands." "Then welcome. We'll need your strength," she said, granting him a nod. With their team finally beginning to take shape, Sue felt the weight of hope rising within her. Together they could reclaim humanity's dignity and begin the new bloodline she envisioned. In the flickering shadows of their hideout, they plotted their first strike against the Enyoth stronghold, a heavily fortified facility known for its dark experiments on humans. The air crackled with anticipation as Sue outlined the plan. "Underestimated but determined," she began, gripping the table hard. "If we can infiltrate and expose their experiments, we can rally more support and sow fear among our enemies while making it clear that the future will be built upon pure human bloodlines. Careful, a strike like this could bring the full force of the Enyoth down on us," Jax cautioned, his brow furrowing. "We cannot wait any longer. They're only getting stronger while we remain hunted. It's now or never," she replied, her gaze resolute. As night fell, they made their move using stealth tactics fortified by Milus's inventions. The team crept through the dark alleyways, the distant commotion growing louder, adrenaline coursing through their veins. "Everyone ready?" Sue asked, determination glimmering in her eyes. With a synchronized nod, they approached the massive gates of the facility, fortified by towering alien guards. Sue's heart raced, not merely from fear, but from an invigorating sense of purpose. This was her chance to stand tall against the very forces that had shattered her life. The plan unfolded smoothly until halfway through. Just as they breached the outer walls, alarms blared, and the tranquil silence evaporated. "Move!" she shouted, rushing into the heart of the facility. Smoke poured from detonated charges. They engaged unexpectedly fierce combat. Sue felt alive, her instincts sharp as she took down guard after guard. Every clash of weapons felt like a dance of defiance, a gradual reclaiming of lost power as she fought not only for revenge, but for the purity of her future lineage. "Sue, we need to hurry. They're mobilizing reinforcements," Jax shouted, firing his blaster at advancing enemies. Sue charged forward, fiercely determined, when she felt him before she saw him. Maldek stood with a cadre of Enyath forces, eyes gleaming with malevolence as he brandished a weapon of immense power. "Welcome back," he sneered. "Did you think you could dismantle our empire so easily?" "That's exactly what we intend to do," Sue shot back defiantly, her pulse racing. As each term passed between them, she felt the ghosts of her family urging her forward, their spirits propelling her. In a fierce clash, Sue fought Maldek with relentless determination. Their blades clashed in a dance of mortality, each swing honed with memories of loss. The madness of battle bled into their confrontation, fueling her as she pushed forward. "Your strength is admirable, but you're a fool to think you can change our destiny," Maldek roared, anger coiling in his voice. He fought fiercely, but Sue could see the desperation in his eyes. "You've underestimated humanity for too long," she yelled back, shifting her stance, ready to strike. In that critical moment, Sue focused on the essence of her mission, the bonds she had forged, the hope she had ignited in her people. "This ends today," she declared. With a leap, she disarmed him and turned to the chamber at hand, where the weapon loomed ominously. In a swift moment, she dismantled the core controls, a surge of energy pulsating within. "Don't let her," Maldek howled, scrambling to recover his weapon. In that instant, the group joined together, each ally, bonded and fighting for the same cause. With a collective roar, they fought against the remaining enemies, forcing them back. Sue understood now. This battle was more than revenge. It was a new beginning, where pure bloodlines could flourish and restore humanity's glory. With the weapon disarmed, explosions rippled throughout the chamber, reverberating through the facility as they fought their way to victory. Sue felt the surge of adrenaline, a euphoric sense of purpose rising like the tide. As the chaos swirled around her, she felt empowered, the history of her family echoing through each move. They would win. She could feel it bolstering her. As dawn approached, the team regrouped, bruised but exhilarated. They had successfully uncovered the horrors inflicted upon humans, and the footage would rally support, allowing their resistance to grow even larger. Yet, amidst the victory, Sue felt a pang of guilt settle in her. Each time she pressed forward, that moment with Maldek haunted her. Had she acted out of mercy, or had her resolve wavered? The thrill of revenge felt overshadowed by the complexities of her new mission. Weeks passed, and as public awareness spread like wildfire, Sue found herself entangled in the hearts of many who saw her as a figure of hope. Her bond with Jax deepened, forged through shared battles and vulnerabilities. Late one night, in the hushed atmosphere of their base, they found solace in each other's presence. "Ever thought about what happens after all this?" Jax asked, peering into her eyes. "Not really," she confessed. "How can I focus on a future when I need to mate with humans to cleanse our bloodlines? The Enyath won't let us walk away without a fight." "But what if we win? What does a world without oppression look like?" Jax probed gently, brushing a strand of hair from her face. The softness of his touch sent warmth flooding through her. "I don't know," she admitted. "I want to believe it means a future for humanity, a future where we can thrive again, free from the Enyath taint." Their conversations often turned to dreams of a world where humans could forge their destiny, where her desire for revenge could intertwine with a profound legacy of purity in blood. As their relationship blossomed, they began to explore the other meaning of her mission, a future where human bloodlines, strengthened through unity, could rise and cleanse the galaxy. But shadows loomed ahead. Whispers of discontent among her team grew louder, their ambitions clashing as factions emerged. Some sought vengeance while others craved unification, a road paved in human purity. Tensions escalated one night during a meeting as someone burst forth, "This isn't just about cleansing bloodlines, it's about revenge on the Enyath." Sue stood as the anchor, feeling the emotion swell. "This isn't just revenge. I refuse to lead us down a path fueled solely by hatred. We must be better than our enemies, and we must focus on our future." Yet that flicker of hope shattered when betrayal struck. Her doubts crystallized when she discovered that a member of her inner circle had been leaking information to the Enyath. Heartbroken and furious, she confronted the traitor, her voice trembling with emphasis as she asked, "Why would you do this?" "For power," he sneered, not remorseful. "You're all fools. You think your revolution will succeed? I'd rather take my chance with the Enyath." The betrayal shook the unity she had forged, testing her resolve as leader. As they prepared for their next assault, the threat of loss lingered, a fracture that threatened to unravel their mission for purity. Days turned into a haze of preparation and unease. The Enyath, sensing an uprising, began to counterattack with increased violence, leaving the resistance scrambling to respond. Rumors spread that the Enyath was building a colossal weapon aimed directly at Earth and the remaining human colonies. Sue's team worked feverishly to gather intel and plan their next strike, but cracks were beginning to form in their unity. One evening, as they gathered around a makeshift table cluttered with maps and technical data, tension filled the room. "We can't hold this position. They're going to strike back with everything they have," Jax urged. "We need to hit them where it hurts. We must target their supply lines before they complete that weapon," Sue proposed, feeling the weight of leadership pressing down on her. "Or we can launch a direct assault," another team member suggested, brimming with vengeance. "Show them we're not afraid." "That's reckless," Malus interjected sharply. "We can't afford to lose more lives. We must strategize for the sake of our future." As voices clashed, Sue felt the heat of emotion rise. Every sentiment was layered with a surge of urgency she understood too well, the desperation to act. Yet the rising factions left her with a sinking realization that she could no longer fully count on their loyalty. As the days passed, they quietly gathered allies, humans and potential sympathizers drawn by Sue's vision for a purified bloodline, a new beginning. Some carried their motivations, humans seeking dignity, while several altruistic aliens brought their powers to protect and support. But in the midst of transformation, betrayal loomed painfully close. One night, after a heated discussion, she overheard two members plotting against her leadership, their words dripping with disdain. They viewed her compassionate stance as a sign of weakness. In a silent confrontation, Sue confronted them in the shadows. "This path leads to our downfall. If we fracture now, all will be lost," she warned. But their resolve hardened. "If you're too weak to seize the moment, perhaps you shouldn't lead," one hissed, before retreating into the night. Disheartened, Sue returned to her quarters, the skyline of Vargos a grim reminder of what was at stake. What had begun as personal vengeance had morphed into a fight for survival and the purity of the future, leaving her grappling with isolation amid uncertainty. As dusk fell, she gathered her team for one last meeting before the storm. She needed to unite them, to remind them why they fought. "Tomorrow," she began, voice earnest, "we face the Enyath to either reclaim our future or lose everything we fought for. This isn't merely personal. It's about establishing a new foundation for humanity's bloodlines. We will not bow." A roar erupted from the crowd, echoing through the cosmos. A vow not just of revenge, but of unity, transformation, and a call to cleanse their bloodlines. As dawn broke, the resistance was reborn in collective determination. There was no turning back. Armed with a confidence born from despair, they pressed toward the Enyath stronghold, where the colossal weapon awaited completion. When they reached the outskirts, a pit of anticipation churned in Sue's stomach. "Tonight, we reclaim our power and future," she shouted, her voice echoing through the ranks. Through the smokescreen of chaos, they surged into enemy territory, unleashing a wave of vengeance. Blasters fired, and sparks flew as battle erupted, a cacophony of war punctuated by cries of rage and defiance. Sue took charge, leaping into action just as blaster bolts zipped past her. Every fiber of her being pushed back against fear. She had come too far to falter now. The lines blurred in a whirlwind of combat and fury. They fought tooth and nail, dodging technology that threatened annihilation. Jax flanked her amid the fray, moving with a grace that ignited her pulse. "Sue, to your left!" His warning came just in time as she spun, blocking an attack from an alien soldier. With a swift pivot, she struck back decisively. Keep moving, she urged, racing deeper into the enemy grounds. Each fallen opponent fueled her resolve. She was a storm gathering strength as she fought for human bloodlines. But when they reached the heart of the facility, the chamber designed to house the weapon, an ambush awaited them. Maldek stood with a cadre of Enyath forces, eyes gleaming with malevolence as he brandished a weapon of immense power. "Welcome back," he sneered. "Did you think you could dismantle our empire so easily?" "That's exactly what we intend to do," Sue shot back defiantly, her pulse racing. In this moment, she felt the ghosts of her family urging her forward, their spirits propelling her. In an intense clash, Sue fought Maldek with relentless fury. Their blades clashed in a mortal dance, each swing steeped in memories of loss and the promise of vengeance. The madness of battle fueled their confrontation, igniting her as she surged forward. "Your strength is admirable, but you're a fool to think you can change our destiny," Maldek roared, desperation seeping through. "You've underestimated humanity for too long," she retorted, her resolve steeled, shifting to make a calculated strike. In that crucial moment, Sue summoned every bond she had forged, every hope ignited in the hearts of her people. "This ends today," she declared. With a leap, she disarmed him and turned to the chamber, where the weapon loomed ominously. In a swift moment, she dismantled the core controls, a surge of energy wavering through the air as Maldek's forces rallied for one last stand. "Don't let her," Maldek howled, scrambling to regain his weapon. As their battle raged, the team, now unified, pressed forward, each ally bonded in purpose. With a collective roar, they fought against the remaining enemies. Sue understood now. This battle was more than revenge. It was a new beginning, where pure bloodlines could flourish and humanity's legacy would be restored. With the weapon disabled, explosions rippled throughout the chamber, reverberating through the facility as they fought their way to victory. Sue felt the surge of adrenaline, a euphoric sense of purpose rising within her. As the chaos swirled around her, she felt empowered, the history of her family echoing through each decisive move. They would win. She could feel it deep within her. As the smoke cleared, the dawn broke upon the remnants of battle. They had defeated the Enyath's forces, dismantled their weapon, and shattered the facade of oppression. The streets of Vargos were filled with chants of liberation, a sound Sue had longed to hear. Among the remnants of violence, Sue felt a bittersweet weight settle within her. This victory, while monumental, had come at a significant cost. She stood amidst her allies, surveying the damage and understanding the fragility of what they had done. "We may have won this battle, but the war is far from over," she cautioned, addressing the once fractured resistance. "We must unite for what comes next, for a future where we only mate with our own and forge our bloodlines anew." The collective reality felt heavy. Vrak stepped forward, his expression filled with pride and determination. "Together, we have done what none thought possible. This seed we've sown must flourish, or all will have been for naught." As they gathered at the heart of the ruins, where rebellion had sparked to life, Sue grasped Jax's hand. "We've come so far, and with this victory, we will stand united, focusing on our new bloodlines." In the weeks that followed, the resistance morphed into a movement transcending mere survival. It blossomed into a coalition of humans determined to reclaim their heritage and strengthen their bloodlines. Sue, touched by the tales of despair shared among her allies, knew they had a mission, to forge not only a strong future, but a legacy of purity. No longer would they live in fear. They aimed to reclaim their humanity, building a lineage free of the Enyath taint. Though the road ahead would be riddled with complications, each ally standing beside her filled Sue with strength. They were no longer at the mercy of the Enyath's rule. They were architects of a movement that would refuse to be extinguished. As the sun rose high in the sky, Sue stepped forward, addressing the gathered humans. "This is where our journey truly begins. We will cleanse our bloodlines and ensure that our future reflects resilience and strength." A roar erupted from the crowd, one that echoed through the cosmos, a vow not just of revenge, but of unity, transformation, and the promise of purifying their bloodlines.